wherever you might be joining me this moment. Of course, in this quick broadcast here, uh, I'm here to address some anomalies in the reportage of the Nigerian Punch newspaper that misrepresented what happened in Abia State. Of course, there have not been any findings or investigation that has firm that the indigenous people of Biafra was behind the killings of 5 soldiers in Abia State. According to the report submitted or the broadcast by the Abia State governor, he made it very clear that the people that acted in such uh, dastard acts was not from Abia State. He alleged or suspected that these people may have been sponsored, of course, to cause mayhem and disrupt his administration. He said it was political. It was not the indigenous people of Biafra who are observing the sit at home. If that is the case, if there is any state that you expected, you least expected any attack or any confrontation with the military, I think Abia State should be the least expected state. One would have thought if it had happened in Imo State, you understand that it has been a usual occurrence that Imo State had become, of most recent times, are very volatile and people, I mean, the agitations and the political tussles there could lead to such confrontations. But Abia State was not even in the picture when it comes to uh, confrontation with the military. Abia State have enjoyed relative peace, even when the governor assumes office. He minded his business and committed to the development and improvement of life of the Abians. But to all, of course, dismay, people begin to see what is happening. And the Abia State Governor, Dr. Alex Oti, came up to say that he suspects that these people were politically motivated, that they are not within Abia State. Those who committed this dastard act are not from Abia State. He was suspecting that this could be his political, of course, opponents, of those who do not like the good work he's doing for the Abia people, and of course took such an advantage to unleash mayhem. And investigations have not been set up to ascertain, of course, the perpetrators of this heinous crime. You cannot, as a reportage or as a body that is charged with disseminating information, right information to the public, you cannot just be prejudicial in your approach reportage. You see, you singled out the indigenous people of Biafra, of course, and accuse them of what they have not done. The IPOB, despite the fact that the IPOB came out, or the spokesperson of the indigenous people of Biafra came out to debunk involvement in such acts, dastard acts. You neglected such a public briefing by the spokesperson of the IPOB, Ima Powerful, and other persons that exonerated themselves, even according to Dr. Iwanyanwu, the President General of the Ohanese Ndibo worldwide, after meeting with Mazin Nandikan, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, made a public assertion. He granted the press, affirming that Mazin Nnamdi Kanu said he is not in any way in support of such. He distanced himself in that. It's not part of whatever that could lead to the loss of life, not even any of the indigenous people of Biafra. By indigenous people of Biafra, once you are from the eastern region or old defunct eastern region, you are part of Biafra. Even the governor who empathized with the family, even the slain soldiers are the indigenous people. He made very clear that even the 3 out of the 5 soldiers that was killed were from Abia State. These are Abian indigenes. illustrious sons of Abiaa who happen to be in the Nigerian military. So if it were to be so, Abiaa wouldn't want to lose their own people. And the activities of the IPOBs or the agitators for the restoration of Biafra has not been well pronounced in Abia State. If you are to be Ebonyi State, Enugu State, Anambra State, and Imo State, which is of course, the deep sea, blue sea, where, of course, we have experienced series of attacks on the militaries and, of course, vice versa. That would have been a different case. What the Punch newspaper should have done is to carry out an investigation, monitor the investigation, and ascertain exactly who and who were responsible for this. You cannot come out and indict a particular people or organization because you have been sponsored to do that. That is a blunder in reportage. It is an affront. It is an insult. Let me read what of course, it was written here. Published in Punch newspaper. Just see what is very clearly stated here. Please kindly hit the like buttons, of course, and share this video so that others can join us. It is a very educative moment, and interesting one for that matter. We want to set the record straight. We want to correct the anomaly. You can't be, of course, prejudicial in your reportage. Once you don't know or you have not ascertained the authenticity of such claims, you can't come and begin to speak blunders. You can't make a case based on suspicions. The case has not been, of course, investigated, of which is ongoing, as certainly, of course, affirmed by the executive governor of Abia State. He said he will make sure he do not leave any stone unturned to ensure that the culprits, the perpetrators of this heinous crime, is brought to book. Nobody is supporting the killings of course, civilians were also killed, according to the reports. So who cares about the civilians? Not just only the military soldiers or military personnel. Nobody supports killing, whether that of the uniform or the civilians. They are human beings made of God, created in God's image. But when it comes to honesty in reportage, sincerity, and of course, without prejudice, the Punch newspaper should learn how to report issues, of course, when it is being investigated, not on the mere basis of assumptions, speculations, and what have you. Look at what they wrote in their newspaper, the Punch newspaper. He said the recent killing of the 5 soldiers and 6 civilians by suspected members of the indigenous people of Biafra in Abiaa, Abia State, represents not just a tragedy, loss of life, but a symbolic fracture in the fragile peace of Nigeria. The deaths underscores, of course, the escalation of violence in the region, already fraught with tension. The Punch strongly condemns the dastardly acts. We urge the government to bring the perpetrators to justice without delay. You are now urging the governor and the government to bring the perpetrators to book when you have not ascertained who are the perpetrators, who are the engineering of this heinous crime. It is quite unfortunate. It is quite disturbing that the Nigerian newspapers has lost the moral conscience in the reportage because possibly somebody paid you to project this. You should have allowed the investigation to be conducted to ascertain who does this. What if it happens to be the, of course, political opponents or rivals of the Labour Party in Abia State? What do you think would have happened? At the end of the day, after you may have, of course, defend the image of the indigenous people of Biafra, at the end of the day, you discover that they were not the one responsible, but it's politically motivated. What do? You now tender an unreserved public apology. That is madness. And again, calling, saying that represents the fragile, of course, a symbolic fracture in the fragile peace of Nigeria. This is not the first time soldiers has been ambushed and killed. I'm not in support of the killings, but in Niger State, in Borno State, in the Northeast, soldiers, scores of soldiers and hundreds, if not thousands of them, has been killed, and you do not make such reportage. You do not see it as this is a symbolic fracture in the fragile peace of Nigeria. It is only when it comes to the Eastern region you are motivated, you grow your wings, of course, because of the hatred or perhaps your ulterior motive or whosoever is writing, of course, to protect certain interests or project certain interests. What you should have done, you can't be blaming the indigenous people of the North when the military were attacked. Of course, in the Niger State, living scores of the military, even up to the extent that the military jet was brought down by the so-called Boko Haram or the bandits. You do not, of course, accuse the indigenous people of the North. You can't generalize this. But you name them, you attributed it to the bandits, to the terrorists within the region. You should have used the word unknown gunmen because their identity has not been disclosed. Rather than indicting the indigenous people of Biafra, even when, of course, an inquiry have not been set in to determine exactly who is responsible for this dastard act. It is quite unfortunate. But when it comes to the North, you claim that they are bandits, they are terrorists, but you exonerate, of course, the indigenous people of the North, just like the same indigenous people of the West, which are the Yorubas, who owns the land. You can't indict them if anything happens, of course, to the contrary. What you should do as a government or as a responsible media outlet is to carry out investigation, follow up the investigation, and find out who, at the end of the day, could be indicted. You can't come out and say that there are indigenous people of Yorubas are the ones who killed, and as such, that poses a threat, a symbolic fracture in the fragile peace of the Nigerian state. A reporter from the, is it TVC, said that most of the Yorubas communities has been sacked. The entire bushes of the Yoruba region has been surrounded by Fulani militias, invaders. That, of course, is a time bomb for the Yoruba regions, that they have been surrounded by enemies whose, of course, missions is possibly to kill and to destroy. And you're not taking note of that. What if it happens to be the enemies of the region or the Abiaa states haven't seen the of course, landmark of transformation agenda of Dr. Alex Oti? They may be envied, they may feel jealousy about that and want to truncate and hamper the continued development of the Abian people. The governor was right when he said these are people that have been sponsored to stop him or to distract him from the good work he's giving, he's delivering on his mandate to the Abia people. And in generally, of course, to every resident of Abia State. So it is quite an absurd for you to make such rank conclusion that the killers of these soldiers, who happens 3 of them were from Abia State. We are from, even by, of course, default, they should be considered Ndi Igbo, part of the ethnic nationalities within the defunct Biafran region. So you cannot make such right of ethnic conclusion. I think, of course, we can keep quiet. The Igbos are loving people, and of course, you understand that. The governor of Abia State have shown that by empathizing with the families and showing solidarity with the families and making commitments, of course, which has never been made by any non-governor or state in Nigeria. People have been killed in different parts of the country. I mean, militaries have been wasted. There was a time almost close to 1,000 or plus have been buried, given mass burial in Sambisa, in Borno State, and in the northeast and other parts of the north. Which of the governors came up to say, okay, I will take care of the families? It will become a responsibility of the Abiaa state government. None of the states could be bold enough to take that because they know what that means. The responsibility of catering for the slain soldiers' families will gulf up billions. And this one, he has promised to make sure that the families and the children have the best of course, education and to the varsity, to the highest citadel of learning, and to take care of their welfare and, of course, keeping them their upkeep, depending on whenever, of course, they graduate from varsities and are employed. These are great feats and it's a demonstration of humanity, a demonstration of empathy, a demonstration of a man who truly loves his people, a man who truly loves humanity. People have been killed, soldiers have been killed in Niger State, in different parts of the Bauchi, Zamfara, and none of the governors has come to say, okay, let's take up the responsibility with all sincerity and commitment. So that means that even the Abiaa state governor and the Abians are very, of course, very pained by what happened. So you cannot come and accuse people of being responsible for what has not been affirmed or established that they are guilty of what, even when they came, their representative or spokesperson came to denounce or debunk involvement in such act. You still went on. Where is that responsibility? Where is that honesty in your reportage? I heard it. Even the governor confirmed it, that these people were sponsored agents. They were sponsored to truncate my government, to distract me in my mandate of delivering good dividend of democracy to the people. But you ignored all these public briefings and you went ahead to indict a people. It is quite unfortunate, and attributing it that they are responsible for the symbolic fracture in the fragile peace of Nigeria. What is happening in Niger State? In the killing or massacre, communities have been sacked. In Jos, Plateau State, of most recent, Borno State local governments, most of the local governments were asked to evacuate by the Islamic State of West African province. People were scoring, leaving their own ancestral homes. And the Punch newspaper did not deem it necessary to go there and cover what is happening, the atrocities, the impunity, the killings, and the marring of the Nigerian populace within the northern regions have not been captured by the Punch newspapers. People don't exactly know the extent of killings and, of course, economic interruption of the region. The entire people are helpless, and yet Punch has not gone there to capture that and to know who is responsible. And I've gone there to blame the people because the people are helpless. Why this targeted, of course, a reportage against the Igbos, the Easterners? It is quite unfortunate. You'd rather be, of course, neutral in your reportage, not trying to, of course, indict a particular people, a particular region, and, of course, promote them being killed because of your vested interest. It is unacceptable. Whosoever may have written this should withdraw it and tender unreserved apology because that is not honesty. There is no honesty in this reportage. You can't say it has not been established, even when the spokesperson of the indigenous people of Biafra as a group, of course, came out to debunk such allegations or involvement in such that act. And you went ahead, of course, to say that they are the ones. And they are the ones responsible for the killings in the entire country, putting the Nigerian state in disarray. It is unacceptable. Are they responsible for the killings in Agatu, in Benue State, of course, in Jos, where several communities had been displaced, their ancestral home taken over, And yet the military said that because of the terrain of those regions, they will not be able, of course, to navigate and respond, of course, or rescue the people timely. All this, of course, has not been promoted, has not been brought to fore by the Nigerian Punch newspaper, only to indict a people who that have not been under suspicion. You would have used the right words to use is unknown gunmen because you don't know their identity, you don't know where they come from. The fact that it happens in Abiaa State does not mean it is the involvement of the indigenous people of Biafra. Even when the spokesperson, Imam Powerful, came and the others, or even Iwanyanwu, Dr. Iwanyanwu, of course, came to say that Mazen Namdekanu categorically disassociated himself with whatever may have happened that have led to the death of his own brothers, which three of them are from Abiaa State. So this kind of reportage is mischievous, is a calculated one to tarnish the image of the eastern region, especially the indigenous people of Biafra. Whether you believe it or not, the governor is an indigenous people from that region. So you can't deny that. Even the 7 senators, the military person that was killed at the end of his active service, he will still return to Abiaa State if he was alive, if they were alive, to have served throughout their active service. So it is quite ridiculous and unfortunate that we have such kind of reportage within the Nigerian media. And that, of course, will rather aggravate the situation rather than being honest, neutral, and reports issues as it ought to be. These are unknown gunmen because their identity is yet unknown. So you can't, because it happened in Abiaa State or any part of, okay, what if it happened in the north? You say that these are Arewas, or these are people who are calling for Arewa nation, or it happens to in northern or western part of the country, you say this is Sunday Igbohu, or any other person, Akintola, whatever, is responsible for that. Everywhere we have criminals, we have hooligans who want to take undue advantage of any situation, but that shouldn't mean you should be close your eyes to the truth and, of course, indict a people on whatever reason best not to you. The reality, of course, and the truth can never be hidden, not until investigations is concluded, and of course, and the result of such investigation is made public. You can now say, of course, with all certainty, that these are particular persons, these are people or group of persons. It was politically motivated as suspected by the governor himself. The governors never suspected the indigenous people of Biafra, who are just observing, of course, their hero day in honor of the fallen heroes and the over 3 million children that were killed during the Biafran Nigerian war that lasted for 3.5 years. It is quite ridiculous, it's quite unfortunate, it's quite mischievous and absurd, and an act of irresponsibility when journalism, of course, is not predicated on justice, fairness, and of course, fair play. Well, let me leave my statement here until, of course, next subsequent edition. Aston fans, let me know what is your position regarding this. Do you agree that such as conclusion, right conclusion, is justifiable, even when the perpetrators have not been captured, have not been arrested or traced? Thank you very much for watching. I thank you for being part of this broadcast. Please kindly hit the like button, share this, let others get to know what is truth and nothing but the truth. Remember blessed and have a great day.